Hey there, it's Lydia's head in a jar here from Screen Portal. Philip J. Fry is the lovable goofball whose incredible journey into the year 3000 kick-started this fantastic series Futurama. Yahoo! His complicated life had many ups and downs. He was a billionaire for a short while before losing everything. He has travelled to the literal end and birth of the universe and even became his own grandpa. We will go through our favourite delivery boy's entire life, from his birth to old age, and we'll even explore his friendship with Bender and his romance with Leela. This is the complete Philip J. Fry timeline. Fry's childhood and family. We can't say for sure how chronologically old Fry is. His travels through time and a couple of accidents made him a true man without age. However, we do know when Fry was born. It happened on August the 14th, 1974 in Brooklyn, New York, and it was the happiest day of his mother's life because the Mets won. Fry was named after a screwdriver his father moderately liked, and so the story of this marvellous man begun. We had the impression of his parents that they were very distant and unloving because they often chose sports over their own boys. But the rare appearances of Fry's mother and father in the series show how devoted and loving they truly were, despite their unwelcoming facade. But through flashbacks, we can see that his family missed him terribly after he went missing.
Oh, I miss him.
Fry's mum often saw him in her dreams, and in the Game of the Tones, Fry, with Nibbler's help, travelled into his mother's dream to get closure with her.
I've dreamed about you a lot since you disappeared.
It was one of the sweetest moments in Fry's history, and that truly showed how deeply he loved his family, and how tragic it was that he missed so many moments with them. As for Fry's dad, Yancey Fry Sr., he seemed to be quite a distant father. A traumatized veteran of the Vietnam War with a fear of commies, Yancey kept the love he had for his son hidden from him. However, in a later flashback, we can see Fry and his father during a winter fishing trip after the boy fell through some ice. In this short clip, we observe how Yancey Sr. opens up to his boy. He tells him that all the toughness towards Fry was meant to only raise him as a strong man.
But I know you'll pull through and make me proud. I love you, son.
Yancey Sr. was a soldier, and he saw how sweet and naive Fry was, so he just wanted to prepare him for any obstacles Fry may meet in the future. Fry's older brother is named Yancey. Despite being named after his father in a 319-year tradition, Fry's older brother Yancey is jealous over Fry's name, and their sibling rivalry begins. Growing up, the two were always competing, with Yancey constantly stealing Fry's ideas and making them out to be his own.
Hey, that's my patented space hook! You stole it!
Later on, when Fry found his lucky 7-leaf clover, he hid his treasure in a Breakfast Club album, so his brother wouldn't find out. In the future, Fry finds out that Yancey eventually got his lucky clover, and he thinks that Yancey even changed his name to steal his identity. However, later in the episode, The Luck of the Fryish, we find out that it wasn't Yancey who got his brother's name. In fact, it was his little son, who was born in 2007 and was named after his missing uncle.
I'm naming you Philip J. Fry in honor of my little brother.
He named his son Philip J. Fry, and he became the first man on Mars, the most famous person ever on Earth, and a true Fry successor. Now, we can't forget about the furriest member of Fry's clan, Seymour, but I can't talk about that little fella without my eyes watering. So I've enlisted Futurama expert Johnny Two Cellos to help me out with this section, while I'll go off and cry in a corner.
Oh yeah, of course. You're gonna have me record the saddest moment in the show, Lydia. Thanks. Alright, let's see if I can get through this without crying. So, Seymour Asses is Fry's beloved pet dog. Fry's friendship with this cute pup was thoughtfully explored in the episode Jurassic Bark, where this little guy loses Fry and then spends many years waiting for him. Seymour actually finds Fry frozen on January 1st, 2000 and leads his parents to applied cryogenics, but sadly, they failed to notice their son in the tube. Later in the year 3003, Fry discovers the fossilized remains of Seymour. Fry wants to restore Seymour until he learns that Seymour lived a long life of 15 years, so he assumed that Seymour moved on after he was gone, and Fry decides to let him be in peace. But, as you may already know, in reality, Seymour stayed at the very place Fry told him, waiting 12 long years for his owner before dying in 2012. Undoubtedly, this is the most heartbreaking moment in the whole Futurama series. I have to go.
Oh, don't worry about it, Johnny. The tissues are just on the way out. By the way, if you want more Futurama content, then please check out his channel. He has tons of awesome videos and has even released a BoJack Horseman complete timeline. So please subscribe to his channel today. The link is in the description below. Fry's journey to the year 3000. So before Fry got into the cryogenic tube, he had led a very unfulfilling life and absolutely hated it. He was an ordinary delivery boy with a seemingly unloving family, no prospects, and a cheating girlfriend called Michelle, who also dumped him on New Year's Eve. But his entire life was soon about to change. On the prominent night of December 31st, 1999, Fry was sent to deliver a pizza to a mysterious icy wiener in the Applied Cryogenics lab. But when Fry realized that he was bamboozled, he decides there is no other choice but to sit in a chair and enjoy a New Year's drink in the last few seconds of 1999. But due to a sketchy coincidence, he falls into a cryogenic tube and becomes frozen for 1,000 years. Later on, we will learn that no other than a fluffy, cutesy Nibbler was the one behind Fry's accidental refrigeration. The reason behind this somewhat cruel decision is simple. Fry's unique mind lacks delta waves, and this feature will be needed in the future in order to save the Earth from the all-eating brains. If you watch the first episode of Futurama very carefully, you can even see Nibbler's shadow on the wall when Fry falls down off the chair. When he wakes up, he is naturally shocked to find that he is now in the year 3000, and everyone that he has ever loved or known are dead. But he gets over that pretty quickly. It's here where he meets his fate assignment officer, a one-eyed alien named Leela. Well, they thought she was an alien, but we'll get into that in another timeline video.
I'm an alien, all right? Let's drop the subject.
Cool, an alien.
When he finds out that his assigned permanent career is delivery boy, he runs away. After making a break for it, he runs into a foul-mouthed cigar-chewing robot.
By the way, my name's Bender.
Leela would later catch up with Fry and admit that she too hates her job and quits. They then set out to find his 159-year-old grandnephew, Professor Hubert J. Farnsworth. The eccentric professor offers our heroes to become his new crew, since Space Bees killed the previous team. And despite high chance of being eaten, killed, or smashed by random space creatures, Fry, Bender, and Leela agree to become the new crew for Planet Express.
I'm a delivery boy!
In February of 3000, Fry moves in with Bender into his tiny apartment with a huge closet. Fry's co-residence with a man-hating robot strengthens their friendship and makes them true BFFs.
Fry, of all the friends I've had, you're the first.
Later in spring, Fry finds out that his miserable funds of 93 cents on his Big Apple bank account turned into a shocking $4.3 billion. In the quest of recreating his 20th century life, Fry buys the last can of anchovies in the world and loses all of his money to Mum, who is the kindest and most vicious millionaire in the world.
Dumbass. What a nice lady.
You may think that losing a fortune would humble the guy, but he finds himself in a bit of a pickle when he drinks the Emperor of the planet Trizol and becomes a new ruler of this land. When it turns out that Emperor Bon is still alive inside Fry's body, they threaten to put him inside a giant blender unless he can cry him out. It's here that we see how Fry thinks of Leela as more than a friend, since he is absolutely devastated by her fake death.
I wish I had died instead of her.
After returning to unroyal life, Fry enrolls at Mars University alongside super smart monkey Gunter, but he drops out soon enough. He later wins a ticket to the Slurm factory, where he finds out that his favourite beverage is a fluid produced by a giant disgusting worm. However, even after finding out about this gross fact, that doesn't stop the crew from drinking it. Ugh. The year 3000 ends with the invasion of Robo Santa, and so 3001 starts. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, then I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. When you click that sexy red button, it lets YouTube know that you like my videos and recommends my channel to more and more people. Plus it's free and it takes 2 seconds. 3001 and Fry's love life. 3001 was a true year of love for Fry. The first of many ladies he charmed with his boyish behaviour was Amy Wong, which was his co-worker. She and Fry started a passionate romance after Fry realised that he has no girlfriend for Valentine's Day. But soon enough, their relationship starts to fizzle out, and so they break up. But they are forced to spend more time together since Fry's head is stitched onto Amy's shoulder after an accident. Not exactly the perfect situation for exes. Next up on Fry's short-lived relationships is Morgan Proctor, a grade 19 bureaucrat.
Admit it, Fry. You're a slob.
She was smitten with Fry's appalling filthiness and they started a secret romance. Unfortunately for Morgan, her cold-hearted nature causes Fry to end the relationship. In the very next episode, The Deep South, he meets a mermaid named Umbriel and becomes so affectionate with her that he considers moving to the city of Atlanta. But he soon does a runner after he finds out the relations with a mermaid isn't as romantic as it appears.
Why couldn't she be the other kind of mermaid, with the fish part on top and the lady part on the bottom?
In this episode, Leela for the first time shows some more romantic feelings for Fry when she asks him,
But Fry, what about us? What about your life on the surface?
The tension and chemistry between these two were seen long before their on and off again relationship. In the episode A Flight to Remember, Fry pretends to be both Leela's and Amy's boyfriend. Although he will eventually date Amy first, you can clearly see in this episode that both Fry and Leela have some deep feelings rooted down there. Fry's relationship with Leela was always more than complicated. Fry being desperately and madly in love with this strong and independent mutant was just too immature for her. Even before Fry considered Leela as a love interest, she already had seen his laziness and immaturity. The first true time when Leela started to see Fry as more of a love interest was in the episode Parasites Lost. A colony of parasites colonized Fry after he ate an egg sandwich. The parasites proceeded to improve his brain and body, making him mature and more attractive for Leela. Although Leela is into the new and improved him, Fry was unsure whether she liked the real him or the parasites, so he went and got them removed.
Leela, I had worms. I needed to know who you loved, me or them.
Fry made many attempts to win Leela's heart. He even moved the stars and time keeps on slipping to state his love for her in the most romantic way possible. He constantly says that he loves Leela for exactly who she is, and he even helps her reunite with her mutant parents. Despite numerous evidence that they belong together, like when she mourns Fry after his death from a space bee, or when it turns out that Leela and Fry are actually married in the opposite universe, she still struggles to believe in them for a very long time. Fry in 3002 to 3010. The relationship between Fry and Leela continues evolving during numerous of Fry's adventures, and it becomes the central storyline of the show. At the beginning of 3002, Fry becomes the savior of humanity when he defeats Brainspawn, who invaded the Earth and made everybody except for Fry stupid.
He is the hope of the universe.
As it happens, we learn why Fry lacks delta waves in his brain. It turns out that our not-so-bright Fry sleeps with his own grandma after accidentally killing his grandpa. In this series of unfortunate events, Fry becomes his own grandfather, and it causes that unique mutation in his brain.
I did do the nasty and the pasty.
Verily.
Up to the end of 3003, Fry found himself in various misadventures. He spent $300 on 100 cups of coffee, which put him into an enlightened coffee state, allowing him to super speed around burning buildings to save his friends. In another episode, he lost his nose due to its remarkable cost on an aphrodisiac black market.
Fry, you have no nose! Your nose is gone!
And he also made a deal with Robot Devil to win Leela's heart, swapping hands so he can write an opera inspired by his feelings for her. In 2003, Futurama was cancelled, and so the story of Fry and all the folks were left with the open finale. However, the fans' love for Futurama soon resulted in renewing the series for the 5th season, which was 4 movies. The first film is Bender's Big Score. In it, Leela starts dating a man named Lars Fillmore, which makes Fry infuriatingly jealous.
Oh, hooray! It's handsome Lars and his fabulous jars.
But we later find out that due to time travel shenanigans, Lars is actually an alternative version of Fry. To cut a long story short, during the movie, Fry jumps back in time to the year 2000, just after he's frozen, and thus creating his time paradox duplicate. He returned to his old life, spending time with his family and his old faithful dog, and for a while he's happy, but something is missing: Leela. As the years go by, he gets more and more mature, then one day his apartment catches fire, burning all of his hair and damaging his voice. Looking in a mirror, he realizes that he was Lars all along.
I'm Lars? I'm Lars!
So he jumped into a cryogenics chamber and freezes himself so he can be with Leela once again in the future. And for a little while, Lars and Leela are happy and are even set to be married. But as a time travel duplicate, he realizes that his fate is doomed, so he sacrifices himself to save Fry and Leela. At his funeral, Lars explains everything via a pre-recorded message. Lars's ultimate sacrifice for Leela pushes Fry to become a more selfless and less childish man.
He was a good man, Leela.
Yeah, you were.
In the last movie, Fry joins a secret society and attempts to stop a mysterious species known as the Dark Ones from destroying all life in the universe. At the end of the story, the crew become fugitives and are on escape from the law. It's here that Leela and Fry finally confess their love for one another.
Maybe I waited too long to say this, but I love you too.
Before they enter a wormhole and their ultimate fate is left in question. Rebirth in 3010 and Further Life. In the new installment of Futurama, we find all the members of Planet Express are dead in the very first episode. Professor Farnsworth manages to restore everybody except for Fry, so Leela creates Robo-Fry to cope with her grief, but this robot nearly kills her, putting her into a coma. Robo-Fry doesn't know that he's a robot, and he creates Robo-Leela to survive the loss of his loved one. But thanks to Bender's flaming hot breath, Leela wakes up and later, Fry comes back to life. Of course, our lovely one-eyed mutant delivery boy duo can't be together just yet, since they have many new adventures on the horizon before their ultimate happy ending.
You know how I feel. I waited for you for 1,000 years. I can wait a little longer.
Meanwhile, Fry gains many followers on his Twitter, takes a chance on the Who Dares to Be a Millionaire game, and creates a friendship with Leonardo da Vinci, the stupidest alien. In the episode The Late Philip J. Fry, our delivery boy is late for a birthday dinner with Leela, so he uses the time machine to come back and arrive on time. But in typical time travel fashion, everything goes terribly wrong, and Fry, with the Professor and Bender, witnesses the end of the universe. Thankfully, everything is reborn as an identical universe is created.
Unbelievable! It's a second Big Bang!
So Fry arrives back at the year 3010, just in time for his date with Leela.
I have to admit, I was afraid you wouldn't make it.
That was the old Fry.
Finally, Leela and Fry start dating and develop a deep love between them. Even when Fry became Zoidberg and Leela the Professor, they still shared a passionate love towards each other. Well, they are soulmates after all. In September of 3010, Fry accidentally reveals that Leela is a mutant, so she's banished to the sewers. Ignorant to the plight of the mutants, Leela states that the only way Fry could ever understand their struggle was if he jumped into the mutagenic lake. And he does exactly that, diving into the ooze and becoming a grotesque mutant.
Fry, this is the stupidest, sweetest thing you've ever done.
Together, they start the devolution revolution and called up the government to give rights to mutants. At the end, it turns out that Fry didn't actually mutate after all, but stepped inside the mouth of another mutant living in the lake. He also advocated for robosexual relationships for Amy and Bender, and he even briefly became a police officer, before ultimately being fired from the force, but he is promoted to executive delivery boy.
It's a meaningless title, but it helps insecure people feel better about themselves.
In the year of 3012, Fry gives up his place on the rocket to Mars to save Leela from the world's end. He helps her to move on with her parents' divorce and devotes most of his time to her.
You were willing to sacrifice yourself so I could live.
Marriage and old age. In the final episode, Fry plans on proposing to Leela, but in typical fashion, he accidentally breaks a device that freezes everyone in time, except for him and Leela. Putting all of their frozen friends in the audience, they got married in St. Cox's Cathedral. We can then see them grow old together, travelling across the world from the jungle to the Arctic, and despite being alone in the world, they are very happy together. Now in their old age, they climb to the Vampire State Building and enjoy a glass of champagne that Fry had laid out before time froze.
It was a good life.
It's here that a wormhole suddenly appears and out steps the professor, who explains that he can send them all back in time so they can start their happily ever after all over again.
What do you say? Want to go around again?
I do.
Futurama is a comedy series, but through its main character Fry, we see just how many heartwarming and sweet moments there are in the show. The whole life of Fry is a great big adventure that teaches us how to find our place in a very foreign world, fall in love and develop strong friendships. And so I'll end this timeline with the very sweet words of Philip J. Fry.
You can't give up hope just because it's hopeless. You gotta hope even more.